Have you noticed that your appetite isn't what it used to be? You find yourself skipping meals more often, or perhaps you just aren't as hungry as you once were. You may brush it off as a normal part of aging, but did you know that losing your appetite after 70 could be a sign of something more serious? If you've been feeling less interested in food, you're not alone. Many seniors experience a decline in appetite as they age, but the real question is, why does this happen? And more importantly, is it a cause for concern? In this video, we're going to explore the common reasons why you may notice a drop in appetite after 70 and why it's not something you should ignore. While some changes in appetite can be a normal part of getting older, others could be a sign of underlying health issues that require attention. Whether it's a physical change, the impact of medication, or a mental health concern, the truth is that losing your appetite can affect your overall health in ways you may not even realize. So if you've been wondering if your appetite loss is just a part of aging, or if it's something more serious, stick with us. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of why it's happening, and most importantly, what you can do about it. I know you are a person who likes to watch videos quietly. If you have not liked and subscribed to the channel, now is a good time to do it because you are a kind person. If the video is helpful, press 1. If the video is not good enough or needs improvement, press 2. Thanks, everyone. Now let's dive in. Number 1. The natural aging process and its effect on appetite. At 71, Harold began to notice something that caught him off guard. For the first time in his life, food just didn't interest him anymore. He used to look forward to breakfast, especially a warm bowl of oatmeal and a slice of toast with peanut butter. Lunch was always a sandwich and soup, and dinner was his favorite part of the day, something comforting like roast chicken or baked salmon. But slowly, over the course of several months, his enthusiasm for meals began to fade. He didn't feel hungry in the morning and often skipped lunch altogether. Dinner became a chore, and even when his daughter brought over his favorite lasagna, he could only eat a few bites. At first, Harold thought it was just stress or the weather. But when it continued week after week, he began to wonder if something deeper was happening. Harold's experience is more common than most people realize, and in many cases, it can be explained by the natural aging process. As we age, our bodies go through a variety of changes that can directly affect appetite. One of the most significant changes is a natural slowdown in metabolism. The body no longer requires the same amount of energy as it did in younger years, which means that hunger signals may not be as strong or as frequent. But beyond metabolism, other subtle shifts begin to happen that quietly impact how, when, and why we eat. One of the most overlooked changes is a reduction in the senses of taste and smell. The number of taste buds on our tongue begins to decline with age, and the ones that remain may become less sensitive. This can make food taste bland, unappealing, or even strange. Similarly, our sense of smell, which plays a huge role in how we experience flavor, also diminishes over time. When food doesn't taste or smell as good as it used to, the natural excitement and desire to eat can fade. Meals become routine rather than something to savor. Harold described it perfectly when he said, "It's like my mouth just forgot how to enjoy food." On top of sensory changes, there are also shifts in the hormones that regulate hunger and satiety. Two key hormones, ghrelin and leptin, play an important role in this process. Ghrelin stimulates appetite, while leptin signals fullness. In older adults, ghrelin levels can drop, meaning that the body no longer produces strong hunger signals. At the same time, leptin levels may remain high, causing a person to feel full even when they haven't eaten much. This imbalance can lead to a chronic lack of interest in food, even when the body still needs nourishment. Additionally, changes in the digestive system can affect appetite in subtle but important ways. The stomach may empty more slowly, leading to a prolonged feeling of fullness after meals. Saliva production may decrease, making it harder to chew and swallow food comfortably. These physical changes can make eating feel like more of a burden than a pleasure. For Harold, he noticed that even small meals seemed to sit heavy in his stomach, and he often felt bloated after eating. Another factor tied closely to aging is routine. As people retire and settle into quieter lives, they may lose some of the social cues that once surrounded meals. No more lunch meetings, no rushing home for dinner after work, no planning family meals. When meals are no longer shared or looked forward to, Eating can become lonely, mechanical, or even forgettable. Harold's wife had passed several years earlier, and he quietly admitted that meals felt empty without her. "We used to eat together every night. Now it's just me in a quiet house," he said. That emotional context made it even harder for him to feel drawn to food. The good news is that while these changes are real, they are not irreversible. Understanding that appetite loss is often a natural part of aging allows us to respond with awareness rather than fear. For Harold, small changes made a big difference. He began trying new herbs and spices to enhance the flavor of his meals. He started eating smaller, more frequent meals instead of 3 large ones. And perhaps most importantly, he began having lunch once a week with a neighbor who lived down the street. Someone to talk to, someone to share a sandwich and a story with. Aging may change how we experience hunger, but it doesn't mean we have to accept poor nutrition or a life without the joys of eating. By paying attention to these natural shifts and making thoughtful adjustments, older adults can rekindle their relationship with food, support their health, and reclaim the comfort and pleasure of a well-prepared meal. Number 2, decreased physical activity and its impact on appetite. For many years, Ethel, now 78, began every morning with a brisk walk through her neighborhood. She enjoyed moving her body, waving to neighbors, and soaking in the morning sun. Physical activity wasn't something she thought about too much. It was just a part of her daily life. But after a minor fall that left her with a sprained ankle and some lingering hip pain, she found herself walking less. What started as a brief recovery period turned into months of sitting more, moving less, and feeling surprisingly disinterested in meals. She didn't think the two were related until she realized she had barely eaten half her usual portions for weeks. Her daughter noticed how thin she looked and grew concerned. What Ethel was experiencing is something many seniors go through without even realizing it. As physical activity decreases, so too can appetite. The connection isn't always obvious at first, but it is deeply rooted in how the body works. Movement stimulates not just our muscles and joints, but also our digestive system, circulatory system, and hormonal balance, all of which play essential roles in regulating hunger. When we become less active, the signals that tell our brain, "I need nourishment," tend to quiet down as well. One of the key players in this equation is a hormone called ghrelin, often referred to as the hunger hormone. Ghrelin levels naturally rise when the body needs food and fall after we eat. However, research shows that people who engage in regular physical activity tend to have more balanced and responsive ghrelin levels. On the other hand, when movement slows down, ghrelin production can also decline. This means your body may not be sending strong hunger signals, even when it needs nutrients. For Ethel, she realized that on days when she stayed inside and mostly sat reading or watching television, she barely noticed any hunger at all. At the same time, leptin, the hormone responsible for telling us when we're full, can become more dominant in sedentary individuals, making people feel full even after small amounts of food. This creates an internal feedback loop where less movement leads to less appetite, and less appetite leads to less eating, which can eventually contribute to muscle loss, weight loss, and nutritional deficiencies. There's also the issue of gut motility, the speed at which food moves through the digestive tract. When we move our bodies, we stimulate digestion. Walking even slowly helps keep the bowels active and functioning well. But when we spend too much time sitting, digestion slows, leading to feelings of heaviness, bloating, or mild nausea after meals. That discomfort can discourage people from eating regularly or cause them to avoid food altogether. Ethel's doctor encouraged her to slowly reintroduce movement into her daily routine, not with long walks or vigorous workouts, but with gentle stretching, chair exercises, and a few minutes of walking around the backyard every hour or so. Within a couple of weeks, she noticed a subtle but important shift. Her appetite returned. She began craving her favorite breakfast again, felt hungry by noon, and even started asking her daughter what they were having for dinner. She didn't need to eat large meals, but the desire to eat and the pleasure of it had returned. Her story is a powerful reminder that staying active, even in small, manageable ways, can reignite appetite and improve overall health. You don't have to run a marathon or join a gym. Simple daily movements like walking around the house, light gardening, or or doing a few stretches in the morning can keep the digestive system engaged and help the body send clearer hunger signals. Movement also boosts mood and energy, which further supports regular eating habits. As we age, it's easy to accept slowing down as inevitable. But losing interest in food doesn't have to be part of that picture. If you've been moving less and eating less, try to notice the connection. Even 5 to 10 minutes of gentle movement before a meal can stimulate appetite and support digestion. Our bodies were designed to move, and when they do, they often ask to be nourished in return. Number 3, chronic health conditions that can cause appetite loss. When Leonard turned 80, he was proud of how well he had managed his health. He had been living with type 2 diabetes for over a decade and had recently been diagnosed with mild congestive heart failure. His doctors commended him for his discipline. He took his medications on time, followed a low-sodium diet, and made sure to check his blood sugar regularly. But over the past several months, Leonard started to feel different. He no longer looked forward to meals. Some days he would skip breakfast altogether, and by dinner he barely touched his plate. His pants fit looser, and he felt tired even after a full night's sleep. Though he didn't have any pain or major symptoms, his daughter noticed how much weight he had lost and encouraged him to mention it during his next appointment. Leonard's doctor listened carefully and explained that many chronic health conditions can have a hidden side effect that often goes unrecognized: loss of appetite. For people living with long-term illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease, lung conditions like COPD, or even early cognitive decline, changes in appetite are not only common, but sometimes the very first sign that something deeper is shifting inside the body. Leonard was surprised. He had always thought appetite loss was simply a normal part of aging, not a potential warning sign tied to his medical conditions. The explanation made sense. Chronic diseases put continuous strain on the body, forcing it to work harder to maintain balance. For example, heart failure reduces the amount of oxygen-rich blood reaching the digestive system, which can lead to early satiety, nausea, or a lack of hunger. Diabetes, especially if not perfectly managed, can lead to delayed gastric emptying, a condition called gastroparesis, where the stomach empties more slowly, making a person feel full even after a small amount of food. In Leonard's case, his combination of heart and blood sugar issues was creating a double effect on his desire to eat. Other chronic conditions, such as kidney disease, can cause a buildup of toxins in the blood, leading to metallic taste, nausea, or a persistent feeling of being unwell, none of which make mealtime enjoyable. And for those living with chronic pain, just the effort of preparing or sitting through a meal can feel exhausting. Sometimes the body sends hunger signals, but fatigue or discomfort wins out. Worse yet, some illnesses lead to low-grade inflammation, which disrupts appetite-regulating hormones and creates a persistent sense of disinterest in food. Leonard's doctor emphasized that recognizing this connection early is crucial because unintentional weight loss in seniors can lead to muscle loss, weakened immunity, and reduced ability to recover from illness or surgery. In many cases, even small drops in weight can begin a downward spiral of frailty and fatigue. That's why Leonard's story matters, not just because he noticed his loss of appetite, but because he spoke up before it was too late. To address the issue, Leonard and his doctor worked together to adjust his medication schedule to reduce any side effects that might be worsening his nausea. A dietitian was brought in to help create a meal plan that was lower in volume but high in calories and nutrients. He began drinking small, protein-rich shakes between meals and eating soft, flavorful foods that were easier to chew and swallow. He also started tracking when he felt most hungry during the day and adjusted his eating times accordingly, rather than forcing himself to eat when he didn't feel like it. Leonard's energy began to return, and with it, so did his appetite, slowly but noticeably. He no longer skipped breakfast and even looked forward to his afternoon snack, something he hadn't enjoyed in months. The lesson he learned, and the one his doctor reinforced, is that loss of appetite is not something to brush off. When tied to chronic illness, it may be the body's quiet cry for help. And just because it comes on gradually doesn't mean it's harmless. If you or someone you love has a chronic medical condition and has begun eating less, feeling full too quickly, or losing interest in meals, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor. Together you can explore the root causes, adjust treatment if needed, and rebuild a healthy, nourishing relationship with food. It's never too late to support your body with the care it needs. Number 4. Medication side effects that decrease appetite. Dolores, 79, had always been meticulous about following her doctor's orders. After being diagnosed with high blood pressure, mild arthritis, and occasional anxiety, she managed a strict medication schedule. Her pill organizer was color-coded, and she never missed a dose. But about 6 months ago, she began to feel different. Her meals started tasting bland. Some days she would feel slightly nauseous even before she ate. She pushed food around on her plate and often left half her meals untouched. What concerned her most was that the foods she once loved, like her warm chicken soup or a slice of cornbread, no longer brought her comfort or joy. She assumed her taste buds were just getting old. But when she stepped on the scale and saw she had lost nearly 10 pounds without trying, she knew something was off. At her next checkup, Dolores shared her concerns. Her doctor reviewed her medications and gently explained that many drugs commonly prescribed to seniors can cause changes in taste, smell, digestion, and even hunger hormones. Medications for high blood pressure, such as ACE inhibitors, may cause a persistent metallic taste in the mouth, which can turn enjoyable meals into unpleasant experiences. Beta blockers, another group used to manage heart issues, can reduce the body's natural stimulation of hunger by slowing down metabolism and energy signals. Dolores also learned that the anti-inflammatory pills she took daily for arthritis could sometimes irritate the stomach lining, leading to mild nausea or indigestion, both of which subtly suppress the desire to eat. In addition to physical symptoms, Dolores' anxiety medication, a low-dose SSRI, was also contributing to her reduced appetite. While SSRIs are helpful for managing mood, they are known to affect serotonin pathways that play a dual role in regulating emotions and appetite. Some people feel hungrier while on these medications, but others, like Dolores, experience the opposite effect. Food simply loses its appeal. The smell, texture, or thought of preparing a meal can become overwhelming or unappetizing. As her doctor explained, this situation is not rare. In fact, it is estimated that up to 30% of adults over 65 experience appetite changes as a side effect of medication. The challenge is that these changes often come on gradually and are easy to blame on aging or lifestyle. Seniors may not think to connect their growing disinterest in food to a new prescription, especially if the medicine is otherwise helping with pain, mood, or heart health. Yet if not addressed, these side effects can lead to unintentional weight loss, vitamin deficiencies, and a decline in physical strength or immune function. Dolores was relieved to know there was a reason behind what she was feeling. Her doctor made several helpful changes. First, they adjusted the timing of some of her medications to avoid taking nausea-inducing pills on an empty stomach. They also lowered the dosage of her anti-inflammatory medication and added a gentle stomach protectant. To help stimulate appetite, Dolores' doctor recommended she try eating smaller meals more often, snacking every 3 hours instead of sticking to 3 big meals. She also began adding natural herbs and spices to her cooking, like ginger, cinnamon, and fresh basil, which not only made food taste better, but also soothed her digestive system. Within a few weeks, Dolores began to feel a shift. Breakfast no longer made her queasy, and her afternoon appetite slowly returned. She started looking forward to her evening meals again, and her weight stabilized. She even found herself enjoying cooking again, trying new recipes with herbs she hadn't used in years. For her, understanding the relationship between medications and appetite was the turning point. Her story reminds us of an important truth. The medications that support our health can also create unintended side effects that slowly wear down our well-being. Appetite loss is not something to ignore, especially when multiple prescriptions are involved. If you or someone you care for is taking several medications and has noticed a loss of appetite, a change in taste, or unusual digestive symptoms, speak up. Doctors and pharmacists can review prescriptions, suggest alternatives, or provide strategies to reduce discomfort. Sometimes even the smallest adjustment, like changing when a pill is taken or what it's taken with, can make a big difference. A healthy appetite is more than just a hunger for food. It's a reflection of how your body feels, functions, and responds to care. Medications are powerful tools, but they must work with your body, not against your natural desire to eat and nourish yourself. By staying informed and proactive, you can protect not only your health, but also the enjoyment and comfort that a good meal brings, even in your later years. Number 5, the role of mental and emotional health in appetite loss. After her husband of 52 years passed away, Ruth, now 81, found herself waking up to a quiet house that felt emptier with each passing day. At first, friends stopped by with casseroles and warm embraces. Her children called daily, but over time the silence returned. Meals, once filled with laughter, storytelling, and shared memories, became lonely. Ruth started skipping breakfast, then nibbling on crackers for lunch. By dinner time, she'd often just heat up a bowl of soup, more out of habit than hunger. She didn't feel sick, but she wasn't hungry either. Deep down, she knew it wasn't just about food, it was about something missing inside her. Ruth's story is not uncommon. For many older adults, the connection between emotional well-being and appetite runs deeper than we realize. As people age, they often face life changes that can be emotionally heavy. Loss of a spouse, friends, or even a sense of purpose after retirement. These shifts can lead to depression, loneliness, or anxiety, all of which can have a significant impact on appetite. In fact, depression in older adults is one of the most underdiagnosed causes of unintended weight loss. While younger people may express their sadness with tears or words, many seniors show it through subtle changes: sleep disturbances, low energy, and a sudden disinterest in food. The emotional toll of loneliness, in particular, is powerful. Humans are social creatures, and sharing meals is one of the most natural ways we bond with others. When that social aspect disappears, so too can the desire to eat. A meal eaten alone doesn't taste the same. Cooking for one feels like too much work. Over time, this lack of joy and connection at the table can lead to chronic undereating. Ruth said it best: "I used to love cooking, but now it just feels like noise in an empty room." But emotional health doesn't only influence behavior, it affects the body biologically as well. When someone is experiencing prolonged stress, anxiety, or depression, the body produces higher levels of cortisol, a stress hormone that disrupts the balance of other appetite-regulating hormones. At the same time, serotonin, the feel-good brain chemical tied to mood and appetite, often drops. This shift in chemistry can cause someone to feel physically uninterested in eating, even if their body is nutritionally deprived. In some cases, even the smell or sight of food can trigger a feeling of discomfort rather than pleasure. Ruth eventually mentioned her struggles to her doctor, who gently asked if she'd been feeling down or withdrawn. With compassion and patience, they explored her emotional health. She wasn't diagnosed with severe depression, but rather with what her doctor called situational grief and emotional fatigue. The recommendation wasn't just about food, it was about rebuilding connection and purpose. Ruth was encouraged to try a local senior support group where widows gathered weekly, sometimes just for coffee and conversation. She also began working with a grief counselor who helped her process her loss and rediscover small joys in everyday moments. Gradually, Ruth found her appetite returning. Not all at once, but in bits. She began to crave toast and eggs in the morning. Her soup portions grew larger, and on Sundays she even baked her favorite lemon cake again, this time to share with her neighbor across the street. She wasn't just feeding her body again, she was feeding her spirit. Her journey reminds us that mental and emotional health are deeply tied to how, when, and why we eat. A healthy appetite is not just a physical function, it's a reflection of how connected we feel, how safe we are in our emotions, and how much joy we still carry. For many seniors, addressing appetite loss means looking beyond the plate and into the heart. Are you feeling lonely? Are you still finding meaning in your days? Are your meals shared or silent? If you or someone you love is eating less and seems emotionally withdrawn, know that help exists. Support groups, counseling, faith communities, and even regular social visits can rekindle a sense of connection, and with it, the natural rhythm of hunger and satisfaction. Eating is more than survival, it's a gesture of life. And when emotional wounds begin to heal, appetite often follows. Number 6, nutrient deficiencies and their impact on appetite. Barbara, 76, had always been a light eater. She prided herself on never overindulging and believed that modest portions and simplicity in her meals were the keys to good health. But over the past year, her relationship with food had changed in ways she couldn't quite explain. She wasn't dieting, yet she found herself skipping more meals than usual. She never felt truly hungry, and the thought of food didn't bring her the same comfort it once did. Her daughter noticed that Barbara's cheeks were a little more sunken, her arms thinner, and her energy much lower than before. She urged her mother to visit the doctor, not for a big illness, but simply because something feels off. That visit revealed something Barbara never suspected. She had several nutritional deficiencies, including low levels of vitamin B12, zinc, and iron, all of which play an essential role in stimulating and maintaining a healthy appetite. What surprised her most wasn't just that she was missing these nutrients, but that these very deficiencies were likely the cause of her low appetite in the first place. It was a silent cycle. Not eating enough led to a shortage of key nutrients, and the shortage of those nutrients made her want to eat even less. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing certain vitamins and minerals. For example, vitamin B12, which helps maintain healthy nerves and red blood cells, becomes harder to absorb because the stomach produces less acid, which is needed to unlock B12 from food. Without enough B12, not only can energy levels plummet, but people may experience numbness, memory issues, and yes, a decreased appetite. Similarly, zinc, which supports taste and smell, can become deficient due to age or medications, dulling the senses and making food seem bland or unappealing. Barbara realized that food just didn't taste right anymore, but she had assumed it was just part of getting older. Another key nutrient, iron, is crucial for carrying oxygen through the blood. When iron levels drop, fatigue sets in, making the act of cooking or even chewing feel like a task. People often say they're not hungry, when in reality, their body is simply too tired to crave nourishment. What makes all of this more complex is that these deficiencies rarely scream for attention. They whisper. You don't feel acutely ill. You just lose interest, slowly, day by day. Barbara's doctor worked with a nutritionist to help rebuild her strength in nutritional stores. They didn't overwhelm her with heavy meals. Instead, they created a gentle plan of small, nutrient-rich dishes she could spread throughout the day. Smoothies with spinach, Greek yogurt, and fortified almond milk provided iron and calcium. Soft scrambled eggs with whole grain toast gave her B12 and fiber. A handful of pumpkin seeds and dried apricots covered both iron and zinc. More importantly, her doctor prescribed a B12 supplement, since her body was no longer absorbing enough from food alone. Within weeks, Barbara noticed small but meaningful changes. She had more energy in the morning. Her sense of taste sharpened. She could detect the sweetness in fruit and the richness of roasted vegetables again. Her appetite didn't return overnight, but it came back gradually, like a familiar song she hadn't heard in years. Food began to matter again, not just as fuel, but as pleasure, comfort, and health. Her story highlights a truth many seniors overlook. Appetite is not only a cause of nutrition problems, it's also a symptom. When the body doesn't get what it needs, it responds by turning down the volume on hunger. It's a survival tactic, one that unfortunately backfires if left unchecked. And because nutrient deficiencies don't always show up in routine lab work unless specifically tested for, they're easy to miss. If you're an older adult who has lost interest in eating, or if food doesn't taste the way it used to, don't simply assume it's aging. Talk to your doctor. Ask for a nutritional evaluation, especially of B12, zinc, iron, and vitamin D. Sometimes the smallest changes, like a supplement or an extra serving of leafy greens, can restore not just your appetite, but your vitality, clarity, and strength. Eating well isn't just about staying full. It's about staying alive and engaged with the world. And sometimes what we think is a loss of hunger is really our body asking for help in the quietest way it knows how. As we've seen, a fading appetite after 70 is not something to ignore. It may feel like a small thing, just eating less, skipping a few meals here and there, but the reasons behind it can be far more serious. From the natural changes that come with aging, to the effects of medications, chronic conditions, emotional health, and silent nutrient deficiencies, there are many hidden forces that can slowly steal our hunger, and with it, our strength, our energy, and our independence. But here's the good news. Appetite is not lost forever. The body is remarkably resilient, even in our later years. When we understand the deeper causes and give ourselves the right kind of care, whether that means eating smaller, more frequent meals, finding ways to move again, addressing emotional struggles, or speaking with a doctor about medications, appetite can return. And when it does, so does vitality. If you've noticed that you're eating less, feeling less interested in food, or watching someone you love quietly withdraw from meals, don't wait. These changes deserve attention. They are not just a part of getting older. They are signals from your body asking for help, for nourishment, and for support. Taking care of yourself means more than just showing up at the doctor's office. It means tuning into your own rhythms, being honest about what you feel, and knowing that small steps, like adding a mid-morning snack, enjoying meals with others, or simply asking for guidance, can make a powerful difference. You are not alone in this journey, and you don't have to settle for fading energy or quiet mealtimes. Your body still needs care, your life still needs joy, and your appetite for living, both figuratively and literally, can be rekindled. One meal, one conversation, and one small act of self-kindness at a time. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and haven't yet liked and subscribed, now is the perfect time to do so. It really helps our channel grow and reach more people who need this kind of helpful content. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you'll always know when a new video is up. Your support truly means the world to us. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.